Just wanted to share briefly about some of the things that are great about being individualistic. And for me, I grew up in America, in the United States of America, where the nation was brought upon the importance of individual rights and protecting the rights of its citizens. Right? The founding fathers created the Declaration of Independence and also the Constitution to create a government and a country in place that really valued the rights of the individual. And every individual is entitled to personal liberty, their right to speak, their right to eat whatever they want, to believe in a particular faith, uh, freedom of all types of things, right? And so, understanding the history of that and the thought and perspective on the importance of having individual rights and embracing individualism, I do think that is something I do embrace, and those are important principles to really implement in one's life. And what's so great about living in the United States is it really embraces that. It really embraces individual thought and the freedom of speech and freedom of religion. Obviously, throughout the course of time and even in recent events, that gets tested and challenged quite a bit, and a lot of times the things that you say and you believe and the things that you do come at a cost. But there are also many Americans that really do abide by these principles and really value the freedom of an individual and their right to be able to do things. And so I think that's a very important principle to stand on, and giving individuals that value and their ability to do what they want to do. Now, obviously, you can't just you gotta create certain parameters and boundaries, because you can't go around just committing crimes and say that's part of their individual right to do that. There has to be some sort of moral system in place. And so I would say the benefits of individualism is having that freedom, is having the choice to do what it is you want to do what you want to say. And I think what's great about America is in companies, in schools, they do embrace critical thinking, and they do allow students and workers to be able to share their thoughts, and those thoughts actually get embraced. If the thought is a great idea or a great perspective that they have, then usually the best the best thing that is said, or the best idea, is the one that is brought to the table and embraced. So that individual and the autonomy to be able to think and freely say what you want to say, and that thought and that thing that is said is embraced, that creates a lot of creativity and innovation, and it allows people to for any individual to be successful, and for their thoughts to be valued. It and usually, depending on what type of company that you're in, it really varies on how much individual thought is embraced. But for the most part, I would say in general, individual thought is embraced, and every idea that's brought to the table is really taken into consideration. And I do value that, and I do appreciate that, because a lot of great ideas and thought can really come from that. And a lot of and I think that's partly contributes to the success of the United States in so many different facets. And obviously, there can be some negatives and some extreme cases where individualism uh, has its cons, right? And while embracing liberty and bringing out the individuality of someone, usually that could come at the cost of the group. We could put too much emphasis and priority on the individual, where the individual gets ahead of the group, right? Maybe whatever the individuals want to do, they're willing to do it sometimes at the cost of the group. And you wonder if that's just crossing the line of being too selfish. So, although it's important for people to express themselves and be who they want to be, and I think another thing too that is great about individualism is people can be themselves, and a place like America, there's so many different types of people from different types of cultures that they're able to freely express their beliefs and also their lifestyle, and you get to experience people from all sorts of backgrounds, and you're able to appreciate the different types of people, the variety of characters and personalities that come with, you know, this thought of embracing who you are, embracing the individual that you are. And so, if it gets to a point where, it becomes all about the individual, then we could get carried away with being too self centered. And a lot of times it could just be about me, 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 and disregard whatever the people around us think, right? And so that's where it could get pretty extreme on the negative end, where, well, it's all about my rights, it's all about what I want to do, and what I want to do takes precedence over someone else. So if everybody else becomes so concerned about themselves, then what that can cause is just a lot of bickering, a lot of fighting, a lot of tension and friction between relationships, because it becomes about one's own self rather than also taking into consideration of what the other party feels. And so individualism, there's aspects of it where it's great and it's important. I believe it's innate. It's in us to be valued, and for each individual to have their own rights. I think that is a fundamental principle. That is what we come to existence to be, right? But if we go too on the extreme where it becomes all about me, then you just become a very self-centered, selfish person, and you don't take into consideration of what other people might be going through. So it's good. I think individualism is great, and there are founding principles there that is necessary for us to be who we are, to us to be able to express what we believe in and do the things that we do so freely. But I just wonder if we become too individualistic, if it just comes at a cost of just causing friction with other people and just alienating other people, not taking consideration of the group and what's best for the group. And so, those are things that when you look at the both sides of the coin of individualism, I do think you can have a balance of not being too selfish, but still embracing the great individual aspects of yourself and the innate rights that we all have as individuals. And so that's my 2 cents on it. I believe, there are just great things about embracing individualism and the rights that you have. You just don't want it to get to a point where it becomes a detriment and all you're thinking about is yourself.